Hi, it's Jason French, Human Potential Mentor, just here with you again today with the next episode in regards to emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are really, really important to each and every one of us to actually understand why they are so important, because what you'll probably find is a lot of people try to suppress the emotion. And when they suppress the emotion, they disconnect from their body. And then what happens is it builds up inside and it creates and manifests in so many different ways, which we looked at the signs previously. Now we're going to look at emotional triggers on a particular, one particular area that we can really focus on. And the reason why we want to become friends with emotions is because they are what actually allows us to actually open up our heart space. And when we open up our heart space, we come into that place of creation. And creation means that we actually are allowing ourselves to allow the energy to actually open, to flow through us. So if you think about a child that has been growing up and they may have experienced, when they got emotional, they may have experienced what they call truncated in their process. What happens is that they've been kind of like suppressed or made a trauma event or an experience or something that may have been wrong for their actual experiences with emotions in some shape or form. So what has happened is that child has dimmed down their energy, and so that energy has been blocked in the physical body. So when the energy has been blocked in the physical body, what it means is that you'll hear some people say it's like their spirit's been taken from them, or you might hear it in a way of like it's just that don't express, they're shut down, all that sort of stuff. So in that way, it's actually because there's no flow of energy. And when you actually go into the place of emotional triggers, what you will actually find is that the body is actually, if you go into the different healing processes, you understand that there is actually, we have different chakras in our body. Some people think it may be a little bit woo-woo, etc., but what they are is actually little, I'd like to put them as little stations in the body that actually represent different parts of our journey for us to go through in life. And that's actually the energetic function of the body. So in those different energy points that are throughout the body, what happens is there's also emotional triggers that actually activate that. Now, depending on the activation, whether it's from excitement or whether it's from sadness, will determine obviously on what area in our lives. So usually with the chakras, it kind of comes through in the place of having like the different areas of our life, of whether it's from like the primal part of us in regards to family, creation, money, all the survival needs is your base chakras, up into your head chakra, which basically is connecting with spirit. So that's the spiritual side. You know, our third eye being that place of visionary, etc., seeing into what it is that we want for our future. Our throat chakra being communication, obviously our heart chakra being the whole place of purpose as well, which is also purpose or feeling, love, etc., creation. But then in the solar plexus is more around your purpose, etc. And it goes down, there's all different ones. Anyway, it's not about those particular areas. But the reason why I'm sharing that is because when it comes to emotions, depending on where those emotions are triggered will determine where they are in the body, which we talked about physical signs yesterday. So when we are actually going into this place of understanding emotions, you can see how for us to be in alignment with all, from Mother Earth to Father Sky, what we need to be is actually find out what the emotional triggers are. Because if the emotional triggers are actually stopping or blocking those particular areas, then we'll feel like we're actually out of alignment with ourselves. And that's when we start to go into those places of physical manifested diseases, blocks, etc. So what I highly recommend is that you start to focus on the actual areas around emotional triggers. So if you're getting angry, you know, anger can actually be the result of sadness. So if there's a trigger that you've suppressed sadness, then what happens is you'll create anger. And if you suppress anger, you'll create resentment. So what you've got to do is look at where it actually starts from as opposed to what is actually the effect. So when we see these kids, or for instance, or adults who are like really angry or aggressive, we're seeing the effect, which is the physical manifestation of what the emotional trigger is. And we're not actually understanding what the emotional trigger is. And the way that we understand it is by understanding ourselves. So I highly recommend that you just give yourself the opportunity of just allowing the emotions to be acknowledged, and acknowledged for what they actually are. So sadness, for instance, is sadness. Joy is joy. Anger is anger. Do you know what I mean? So understand that the emotion's actually giving you a signal. That's what I was looking for, that word signal. That's giving you a signal on how you can actually navigate this ship, which, if you understand that, it's a relationship of the body. So when you come into that place of a relationship with the body, understand the navigation systems. And the navigation systems, as I've shared before, is actually your physical body giving you signals, your emotional body giving you signals, and then understanding how the waves that, or vibrations that we're actually putting out there to the world, but also the vibrations we're actually vibrationally matching with. So if you're feeling low and you're putting that vibration out, you'll attract low vibration coming in. So they're the things that we have to look at. But first, we're going to really focus on emotional triggers. And this is where your vibration will start to shift, because of the fact that you'll, like I said before, when you actually open up your heart space, the vibration actually is able to transmute through the body. So when people talk about the spiritual side and the physical side, there's one thing that they struggle to understand, and that is the emotional side. It's such a powerful place. It's such an incredible place for you to really understand. And obviously that's what I want to just bring into focus. And that's one of my big things that when I talk to people about, is they can't understand why they're not getting this or they're not getting that, or whenever they struggle with something of why it's not coming into reality, or why is this occurring? Well, it all comes back to emotions, like people not actually understanding the value of what those are. So it's kind of like driving a vehicle without a steering wheel. Do you know what I mean? Like it's you'll go all over the shop. So I see emotions as a very vital part of anything that actually is occurring for us in our world. And what will stop you from feeling emotions is actually conditioning, which is where you'll come into justification on why that emotion is actually there. So what I mean by a justification of an emotion is a conditioning, is when you actually see it in a way of, there's no reason for you to be feeling sad. You've got a perfect life. There's no reason for you to be feeling joy because you've had this happened. There's no reason for you to be having resentment because at the end of the day, you're being blessed or being luckier than somebody else. But what it is that what you've got to understand is that everybody actually has a different perception, a different interpretation because of the way the child perceived it in its development. So if your emotions haven't been developed because they haven't come to a place of understanding, then what happens is they stay in a childlike mode until you let it grow. So what we've got to do is learn to nurture that. So the more you nurture into the emotion of getting it to come to a place of understanding and compassion, and to do that, it's a case of being present. So that's what we can try now, is just go into that place of being present with the emotion. And the best way to do that is actually like taking a nice deep breath in and out. A nice deep breath in and out. A nice deep breath in and out. What I get you to do is just place your hands on your heart. And just basically look down into the heart. You may actually feel something. You may not. Just observe. When you're ready, just take another nice deep breath in and out. Nice deep breath in and out. When you're ready, just open your eyes, keeping your hands there on your heart. Is there a feeling coming through there? Now, a feeling for me that's coming through is love. Okay. So the feeling that's coming through is love, which is actually interpreted as an emotion. So when you can feel love, it makes you feel emotional. Does that make sense? So if you feel anger, for instance, it makes you feel an emotion of aggression. And this is where it comes into the place of emotions actually being that act of love, coming from a place of compassion, or a cry for love. So this week, or this day, these next few days, just focus on your emotional triggers, because you're getting physical signs for you to open up to what's actually triggering you. And this can happen in relationship with another person, as in regards to being the trigger point. It could be by something that they say, by something that they do, or by being in a situation that you feel out of control in. And find out what that a trigger is. Just look at the lesson in regards to what it is that you're actually being shown here. And once you actually understand the emotional trigger, meaning the sadness is triggered by this scenario, then we've got something to work with. And it's not activating it for you to go back into a wound. It's actually activating it for you to learn the lesson of it. So for instance, with me, if I'm in a situation that I feel manipulation, I automatically go to that place of defense. So my emotional trigger is to defend myself. And when I go into that place of a defense, what actually has happened previously is that I would go into a reaction. And what I'm done has dissolved the ice cube. And it just takes more and more practice to be able to do that. And the only way that you do that is through awareness and clarity. So once you've got the clarity, then you've got to go into the place of owning that emotion. And owning that emotion means that you're in that place of making a decision on how you wish to redesign the story around that actual emotion. So we can see an emotion as a negative, or we can actually see that emotion as being a positive. It's actually teaching us that this is not a good place to be right now, or this is a place that's actually not supportive to you right now, or this is da-da-da-da, whatever you want it to be. And then you will let go of the defense. Or it maybe is going, this is actually not about me right now. This is actually about somebody else. And then it's holding that space for them to be able to go through that themselves. So this is a really beautiful step, is really understanding the power of emotions. So what are your emotional triggers? And once you know what now these emotional triggers are going to be for everything, but we're just going to practice on awareness over however long you wish to do it, whether 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, 2 weeks. Just bring awareness, bring that awareness into what's actually emotionally triggering you. And you'll find so many great gems that come out of it. I look forward to sharing with you more in regards to these videos. Please like or share, subscribe to the channel, and or if you like it as well, that you want to help provide with further projects in regards to what I'm doing, then by all means, press the link so that you can actually help donate and to be able to make that happen as well. Take care, and remember to be the change. Be brave, be the change. Bye for now.